only we had a warrior by the name of DNC Chair Jamie Harrison. Oh, there he is. Hi, good morning, sir. I wore my
Good morning, Stephanie.
I wore my vote blue shirt just for you.
Oh, I appreciate it. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I listen, I was just going through, I know this sounds like a press release. However, this really is pretty extraordinary what President Biden and the Democrats have gotten accomplished. This is just from the news story about the speech. Biden has racked up big wins on longtime Democratic goals, including taxing corporations and the ultra-wealthy, signing into law the biggest climate change bill in history, making huge inroads on reducing drug prices, working to get what is now a massive reduction in gas prices and stabilization of inflation, helping millions of veterans access care for toxin-based cancers, signing the first major gun control law in decades, maintaining and even reducing historically low unemployment while overseeing historic job and wage growth, signing the first major infrastructure bill in decades, getting America's first black woman justice confirmed to the Supreme Court, removing the leader of Al-Qaeda, strengthening and expanding NATO while supporting Ukraine after Russia attacked the sovereign nation, and more. Okay, so thanks for coming on. Good night. No, go ahead.
Well, and Stephanie, so that's the good on the Democratic side. What's the bad on the Republican side? If you take a look at all those bills in the House, the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, no Republican voted for those. Yeah. Infrastructure law, 200 Republicans voted no. The CHIPS and Science Act, 187 Republicans voted no. PACT Act for Veterans, 174 Republicans voted no. Gun Safety Bill, 193 Republicans voted no. Violence Against Women Act, 200 Republicans voted no. So, the contrast is stark in that Democrats are fighting for regular everyday people, and the Republicans, if their special interests aren't writing them, stroking a contribution or a campaign check, then they can't vote yes.
Yeah.
And so I don't even understand why this should be even close.
Yeah.
But it is. So we're going to fight like hell to make sure that we keep our majorities in the House, we grow our majorities in the Senate, and we pick up some governor's mansions and state houses as well.
Yeah. I said a long time ago, turn off the pundits and the polls and all that stuff. I just think, with the overturning of Roe and everything in the news cycles, I just would not make any predictions at this point. I mean, basically, I hate to say this, but they only have sort of lying left. Like you pointed out, Chuck Grassley told Iowans he was for $35 caps on insulin prices. You said, but he voted to block the $35 cap on insulin for folks with private insurance, and not one Republican voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. I mean, the White House was on it with people like Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about debt relief, listing what every single, debt relief Republicans got from PPP, right?
Well, and all the Republicans have is fear and fraud. That is all they have, fear and fraud. They lie to their constituents. They don't do anything, and they try to make them scared about the other. Oh, either it's minorities or the transgender kids or women controlling their own bodies, right? All of that is here's the boogeyman in the closet or under the bed, and that's all that they have. And the American people are tired of that.
Yeah.
They're tired of that BS, and they're ready for somebody who's going to fight for them all the time.
And I believe you tweeted, roughly 43 million Americans will benefit from the student relief. I think Republicans know this is wildly popular, and they're just sort of not sure how to. I love that they keep trying this. Democrats are very radical and extreme, and you just said no matter how hard they try to hide it, MAGA Republicans are radical and extreme. Mm-hmm. They are attacking our fundamental rights, and the American people will not stand for it. Whether it's these abortion laws or on and on, it is really a fight for freedom this midterm.
It is. Tim Scott, I think it was last night, I responded to it this morning, sent out this tweet to Kathy Hochul about freedom-loving New Yorkers can come down to South Carolina. I was like, what damn South Carolina are you talking about? You talking about the one that today they're trying to do a total ban of abortion with no exceptions for rape and incest? Is that the freedom-loving South Carolina you're talking about? Or are you talking about the one that doesn't give Medicare expansion to hardworking people in the state? I mean, they live in this, they love the words of, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. They love how they sound, but they don't have a damn clue what the words actually mean.
Yeah.
Liberty and justice for all means not just liberty and justice for some of y'all. It means for all of us, not just a select group.
Yeah. You would also tweet, President Biden called out extreme MAGA Republicans for trying to take us backwards on abortion and threatening to cut Social Security and Medicare. I have to say, as DNC chair, you must just say, keep talking, Rick Scott. Like the fact that they're outwardly saying, we're going to cut Social Security and Medicare, this is like a dream come true for you before a midterm, isn't it?
I mean, he is a nightmare. I call him and Rubio and DeSantis the triumvirate of despair down there in Florida. I feel badly for the people of Florida because they have such piss poor leadership. And I know what piss poor leadership is because I live in South Carolina. I got Tim Scott, Henry Foghorn Leghorn McMaster, and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
It is really, really bad. And that's why this new South that I keep talking about is so important.
Yeah.
We need to relieve the burden off of the people in the South of this horrible leadership that they have in many of their states. And
since that's the setup, I've got to ask you about Lindsey Graham. I mean, we have a sitting United States senator who just called for riots, didn't condemn it, said if you indict Trump, there will be riots. I mean, what do you make of that? What do you...
This is the thing, Stephanie. So, Lindsey went to the University of South Carolina School of Law, and down here in South Carolina, he likes to call himself Mr. Rule of Law. That's his thing that he really is focused on. Again, these people are delusional, and Lindsey Graham is the top of the list for being delusional. How can you be Mr. Rule of Law when you're trying to defy a subpoena to have you testify? How can you be Mr. Rule of Law when you are basically advocating for riots in the streets? Because the Justice Department is exercising the rule of law. If our Constitution and if our laws don't mean anything, or they can't apply to everybody like they should, then there is no rule of law in this country. Lindsey's just sad. It is, every time I look at him and I hear from him, I say, bless your heart, Lindsey, because
that's the best Southern insult ever. Bless your heart.
He's just sad. It's pathetic and sad, and he's just a little person who wants to be a big person in this country.
Yeah.
But he is what he is.
I just think this what do we call this? I don't even know what this latest thing is with Trump, but this is just going to get worse and worse as we review what the damage is, right, to our intelligence, to our national security. I mean, I'm just curious your take. There was a piece, Merrick Garland might have two paths to filing charges against Trump. I mean, he keeps committing or at least we keep finding out about so many new crimes that then you're like, what about the last thing? What about the insurrection? I mean, I don't know how you process as an actual leader that the ex-president of the United States just tweeted that he'd be named the winner of the 2020 election, or we have a do-over. I just don't. I don't know if it's a setup for an insanity defense, but obviously this piece is about whether Merrick Garland is going to charge him for one or the other or both. The classified documents and the insurrection in January 6th. What is your feeling on that?
Well, they need to check the exhaust system there in Mar-a-Lago, because whatever it is, they're delusional. I don't know what's in the air down there, but there's no sanity in terms of what they're trying to do. No, Donald Trump, nobody is doing a do-over of the 2020 election. Dude, you lost. Yeah. Deal with it. I lost my race, and you just got to move on. Yeah. But just deal with it. And it's just it is really, really sad. And what's even worse is the delusional people, these MAGA Republicans, who are mimicking everything that he says.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, the Justice Department is now an independent agency. The White House is not pulling their strings, unlike what happened in the Trump administration.
Yeah.
And so, their job is justice, following the law and following the Constitution.
Yeah.
And Merrick Garland's going to do that.
Yeah.
Some of us wish he would have gone further or done this or done that, but he's going to follow the law. Without politics.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's really what we want our Justice Department to do.
Yeah, I have to say, who knows? It's going to, particularly with these news cycles, what it's going to be by the time we get to November. But it certainly appears from all polling that I'm sure you're seeing too that Roe being overturned is nothing less than an earthquake, and I would call it a pink one because, as you know, women's registration, even in places like Kansas, through the
Yes.
roof. I mean, you tweeted new abortion bans and restrictions went into effect in states this week, including Texas, where doctors who perform abortions can now face up to life in prison. We must hold extreme Republicans accountable for trying to take us backward. I mean, I just think that is, obviously, the polling Democrats up and the generics, all that, but I just think we haven't seen the full effect of this yet, have we?
No, I don't think we've seen the full effect. But women are waking up and they're registering to vote at historic numbers. And we've seen in every one of these special elections since the Dobbs decision an overperformance, particularly on the Democratic side, as we push back against these extreme MAGA Republicans who believe in national abortion bans, who believe in, and it's such a slippery slope for them because they got rid of Roe, and then they said, well, the states should decide. And then as they are going through the states, now they're saying, Mitch McConnell and all, well, we should have a national abortion ban. Well, I thought you just said the states should decide. Now you want to make it totally national? I mean, it's a slippery slope, and then you'll see contraception, and then you'll see marriage equality, and you'll see everything else. They are chipping away at the fundamental freedoms of Americans each and every day, from our right to vote to our right to be and love who we love to, eventually maybe a right to pray to who we want to pray to.
Yeah.
But that is where you see with these MAGA Republicans, they are extreme, and we can't allow them to get power.
Right.
And I think the fact that they've gone with a lot of Donald Trump's extreme MAGA candidates is only good news for us. I'm going to see my mom and sister in Sherry Beasley's district in North Carolina next week, and that race looks competitive, right?
It is. It's very competitive. I'll be in North Carolina this week, as well as Texas. But that race is very competitive. I talk to Sherry fairly often. She's running a great race against Ted Budd, and we think it's neck and neck, and we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that she wins.
Yeah.
And she's smart. She was the Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Should have still be the Chief Justice, but she lost by a few thousand votes last cycle. But we're going to make sure that we do everything that we can to make sure that she's the next senator from North Carolina.
Chair, my sister's done fundraisers, and I will do my part by not saying anything dumb while I'm there. I know you've been with the president a lot lately. He's going to be with John Fetterman, who's going to administer, what do they call it in politics? An ass whooping to Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
But he's going to talk to him about cannabis legalization. Where do you think the president's going to come down on that? He wants him to.
I don't. Listen. I think the president had a history on this. I'm sure he will be open to listening to the next senator from Pennsylvania, Mr. Fetterman. But in the end, we got so many issues that I think our candidates are running on. That's one of them. I was for legalization of marijuana when I ran for the Senate, and it's something it cuts differently in different states, but I think it's something that many folks are running on, and we'll explore.
Yeah. All right. Spoken like a true politician. All right, Chairman. Good luck in North Carolina this week, and I got you next week. I'll take the baton.
Sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you so much, Stephanie.
You too. Talk to you
care.
soon, Chair.
Yay.
There he goes.